Thom and Ed are here from Radio.
Hello.
How are you, boys? Okay?
Very good, thank you.
Nice.
Nice,
yes.
Very nice to see you. Okay, lots to talk about. You've got a very busy day, and we should say right away that this is pre-recorded. We actually did this morning, because as this goes out, you're already doing something for Six Music, or possibly Radio 1, or rehearsing for your big concert tonight for Radio 2. Am I right?
Or taking out the garbage, or whatever it is that we've been told to do today.
You just do as you're told now, don't you? First of all, now the download thing, Thom. In your view, how did that work out? The latest album being downloaded, because I remember you saying, oh, look, if they want it for nothing, they can have it for nothing. How many people had it for nothing? How many people paid?
I don't remember. Ed probably does. I think it worked as an idea, though, because everyone got to hear it and evaluate it on their own terms. To me, the issue of whether one paid or not for it was the side issue, given that every record we put out had leaked one way or another, which means it had been copied and thrown around the internet. Even before it was the finished version, we had people breaking into studios and copying hard disks and so on. So to us, this was like a way of turning the situation to our advantage, really, and whether people wanted to put some money in the hat or whatever was secondary, really.
So would you both say that it went well as a concept?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, if you measure it by sort of the money that you got in, it was good as well. It was interesting how different countries responded to it. Italy was the most generous. I think there was like 75% of people, and Brits as well. The UK, I think 60% of people who downloaded paid something for it. So it was really nice to treat people as honest, civilised human beings as opposed to money-grabbing thieves. And,
That's not to say you thought they were money-grabbing thieves.
No, it was purely,
but
it was purely an experiment.
And it was interesting within the band. I mean, I was very optimistic. I thought, you know, at least 90%.
So what you're saying is you were right.
Yeah, and I was completely
You were
wrong.
right.
No, I was wrong because less people paid for it.
I want to play a track from the album, and I want you to tell me which track it is, because I look at the album and I can't tell which track I'm playing. It starts Wakey Wakey.
Oh, yeah, foul stop.
Tell me what that's about, Thom.
I don't know. It's psychic garbage, as usual.
But funny enough, you say garbage, because there is a reference to plastic bags and what have you. Is it some kind of environmental thing?
No, not really.
But it can be for you, can it?
Yes, absolutely. For you it can. For anybody who's interested, anybody who cares.
Okay, here it comes.
It's on again, off again, on again. Watch me fall like dominoes in pretty patterns. Fingers in the backward pie and tingling, tingling, tingling. It's what you feel now, what you ought to. Reasonable, sensible, definite makeup. I guess I'm stuck. Without your head in even no. For no real reason, squeeze the tubes and empty bottles. I take about. It's what you feel now, what you ought to. The elephant that's in the room is tumbling, duplicate, plastic bags and duplicate and triplicate. There from the neck up, I guess I'm stuck. Without your head in even no. Exactly where do you get up? Is enough. I love you, but enough is enough. And I stop. There's no real reason.
South. That's Radiohead. Everyone, Radiohead are with us. Thank you. And Tom and Ed are back with us now. I want to do a thing, Tom, if I can just go way back.
Rewind.
You all met at school, as I read, in Abingdon, and the band were originally called On a Friday? Why were they called On a Friday?
Because it was the worst name we could think of.
I thought it was because that was the spare day that you had at school.
It might be something to do with that. The funny thing is, when we signed the record deal, they said, look, we're not signing you unless you change the name. Really? It's a fair cop.
Yeah.
And we had a week to do it.
Where'd you get Radiohead from?
It's the name of a Talking Heads song.
Yeah.
Right, off True Stories.
There was one time in New York where we had to take David Byrne out to dinner, Johnny and I, on the basis that we thought we owed him, really.
Yeah. Was he wearing the big suit?
No.
Was your headmaster, were the people at school, I know it seems funny going back to school days, but were they encouraging to start the band, to be in a band, to go into music?
There were two teachers. The head of music was amazing, a guy called Terry James. And
Terry.
He basically let us use the music school. That was his manner. The headmaster was not keen on it at all, and he tried to stop us playing, but Terry held firm for us.
It was a bizarre thing, though, because we inherited this situation where there'd been, like, these punk gigs at the school and someone had their arm broken and all this stuff, all the seats got ripped out, and that was used as an excuse to justify no amplified music whatsoever in the school ever.
So I'll take that as a yes. A kind of a yes.
Yeah.
I also heard, Tom, that you were, and I do find this hard to believe, that you were once a DJ.
Yeah.
Were you a kind of DJ?
No, my scratching's a little bit limited. No, I used to do the club every Friday. I used to make the college a fortune, actually, out of it, because it was always sold out, and it was a really good laugh, and it was during the period of the Manchester thing. It was mostly just good fun, really.
Good fun, not a money-making exercise.
No, I spent it all on the records, what I got, but I had a good record collection at the end of it.
And I know this is a corny question, but who, when you were very younger, let's say when you were in your teens, who were your musical influences? I don't know what I hear in there. I mean, I hear something different every album. I mean, I've seen you live 3 times, and I still can't make you out. Which is a good thing, isn't it? Don't you think?
Well, we formed the band in '86, so it would have been around that time. It was R.E.M., The Smiths, Talking Heads.
What
Like
about
Phil was-
Cocteau Twins?
Yes,
Is that
I was
going
a
on?
massive Cocteau
Yeah,
Twins
I
fan.
thought you might be.
Yes, I love her voice.
So,
Yeah.
me too. Wasn't it such a shame, isn't it, that they didn't carry on?
Yeah, but then she did that Massive
I
Attack
guess,
track, which
yeah.
kind of made up for it. Sorry,
Yeah, I guess.
we digress.
Sorry, I was off on a Cocteau Twins.
Carry on, I'll go and make the tea.
Yeah.
And then when the band were formed, what did you do? Did you kind of say, well, those are our influences, we'll move away from that, we'll get a bit eclectic, we'll do something that's not been done before?
No,
Because
you start off imitating frantically for ages,
Yeah.
and eventually you realise that it's how you imitate, in the words of John Lennon. It's not what you imitate, it's how you imitate it and how you make it your own.
this is not an insulting remark. Where did you get that haunting vocal of yours?
I think you say face. Something you just accumulate out of all your heroes. I mean, my biggest hero was always Michael Stipe, and the way he sung in the early days, I was just trying to emulate that, and then realised that my voice would never be as gravelly as that. So sort of moved in another way, really.
And was the philosophy of the band always to be no compromise? Be an environmentally friendly band, don't go corporate. There's a kind of philosophy behind the band, if you like, which has come out over the years. Was that always your aim?
A lot of it, for me personally, the no compromise thing tends to come rather belligerently from me initially when issues come up. We try and work out ways of making it work rather than, you know, oh, you're just being stupid or whatever. We then try and be constructive about whatever it is. There is always a compromise, you know.
Yeah, and I think one of the things from the start was that it was all about the quality of the music. If you start with that and it's not about the money, it's always about the thing that you do, then that leads on to other things. You have a belief already set. If you stop doing that, then the whole thing crumbles, really.
Yeah. But why do you agonise over tours and over albums and then go back to it and you don't want to put it out? I respect it, but I'd be
No,
interested.
it's torturous, I agree. Why do we agonise? It's just the way it is. In terms of the music, we have a fixed thing that we're aiming at. We're just trying to get there. And then in other situations, we're just trying to do the best we can, really, under the circumstances. But to me, it all comes back from going to art school, and that had a massive influence on me, just because it made me see everything we do in terms of art.
I can see that, and I think most people respect that, don't they?
Well, I don't mind if they don't.
Except
really.
the promoter and the record company.
Yeah, they tend to. There's a lot of scratching their heads that usually goes on.
Why?
So you want to?
Why are you doing
You want to
this?
do what?
not.
Where are we at? 92, 93, and you signed to EMI.
Yeah.
Which is like a big corporation, really.
Yeah.
Was that a compromise, would you say?
Lots of bands, for instance, like REM, were signing up to the majors. And EMI, you know, they offered us the chance of setting up our own fledgling label. And the only reason we were signed was because of Nirvana.
Which is hilarious if you think about it.
Well, it Smells Like Teen Spirit broke in the summer of 91.
Yeah.
And they were influenced heavily, you could tell, by the Pixies. We were at that time, we did these quiet verses and loud choruses. And that was literally the reason we were signed.
And we got, like, lots of free records and stuff, which was good.
Yeah. And to be on Parlophone, it's a cool label. It's got history, it had a lot of good bands on it, Blur as well, they were on it as well.
I never really knew what to do with the whole Hawkwind back catalogue.
Yeah. Mind you, that Silver Machine was a song, wasn't it?
Yeah. You'll get a price for that.
Yeah. Get that on eBay, be laughing. We'll be right back. We're with Radiohead today. Don't go away. On the big show, Steve Wright in the afternoon. We're back with Thom and Ed in a moment.
As you take my hand, just as you write my number down, just as the drinks arrive, just as they play your favorite song, as your body disappears. No one could wind up like a spring before you had too much. Come back and focus again. The walls have been in shade. They got a Cheshire cat grin, all blurring into one. This place is on a mission before the night out, before the animal noises closer get killers, before you come but between the notes, the beat goes round and round. The beat goes round and really got me down. I just pretended that I was a cool instrument. As I set up shotguns, come on and let it out. Come on and let it out. Come on and let it out. Come on and let it out.
We're back here with Thom and Ed from Radiohead. You know, I think
We haven't left
a
yet.
round of applause for everybody.
Yeah, for getting up so early.
So now, touring, as I say, I've seen you 3 times, maybe 4 times. Saw you in Oxford, saw you in Portugal even. Now, the Oxford, the coming home gig.
Yonks ago, yeah.
Was that your best ever gig?
No.
Oh,
It
no.
was way too rainy.
Really?
Yeah, best ever gig for me was this festival in America called Bonnaroo.
Really?
60,000 people in a field. That was great.
Now, can I just say to you, Thom, I'm going to say Scott Walker,
Oh, yes.
right, and I'm going to say Banging Bits of Me.
Oh, yes.
Well, were you disappointed at that documentary? Did you see
Oh,
the
I haven't
documentary?
seen it, sorry.
Okay, well, have a look at it, because you think to yourself, okay, Scott Walker, what a voice, what an artist, what an influence. Okay, and you kind of respect him for going off and experimenting, but when it comes to, like, just banging bits of meat, and that's the wrong piece of meat, and then banging another piece of meat until you get the right sound, I mean, you probably appreciate it more than...
I love that stuff.
Yeah, well, you would, wouldn't you? With your little wah-wahs.
We spent 3 weeks on this record just getting the reverb.
That's right.
I mean, people often say, oh, Radiohead, okay, marginally experimental.
Yeah.
Is that kind of experimental too far?
Well, the thing is, Scott Walker Walker's on his own, so he's on his own trajectory, he's on his own mission. I mean, fair dues, if you want to do that.
Was it Creep that started it, really? I like the way you still play Creep. You will always play Creep, won't you?
Well,
Yeah.
occasionally.
Is that a no?
Oh, no, I'm sure we might.
Yeah, I'm sure we might. Okay.
Yeah.
Because that was a global hit single. Would you say that that set the standard? You know, this is who we are? Or was that something out of the loop?
We were very lucky in many respects. For years we kicked against it because we were deemed initially to be this one-hit wonder. But we were very lucky because it really saved our skins at a time
Absolutely.
when we actually got to sell some records. So when we came to make the Bends, we weren't in debt to the record company, so we had a degree of independence. So we were able to go in and make the Bends without a huge debt on our back.
Yeah.
And having any interference from the A&R department in the record company. So that was the biggest hit we've ever had in America, you know, as a single.
The only reason we're ever able to sort of carry on and pursue our crooked path was because of Creep. To EMI's credit, all the people that we worked with there, they completely tolerated our misguided antics all the time. It was great.
Well, that's what I thought. Once you've done that, I'm not saying
Yeah.
you could have done what you like, but...
And then we had OK Computer and ka-ching.
Well, and
Wasn't for them
OK
anyway.
Computer was your Sgt. Pepper or not? Can it be beaten? Has it been beaten?
Yeah, I mean,
It's a product of the time, isn't it?
Yeah, within Rainbows, and I think Kid A and the Bends and OK Computer, they're different, but they're all of a standard that we're immensely proud of. Those records could not have been better at that time.
You guys, do you still hate the idea that rock musicians are celebrities? Because I suppose, like it or lump it, you are celebrities, even though you wouldn't court celebritydom. I think that's a word. If it's not, it is now. I mean, I know you hate the celebrity culture, but I mean, in the end, you have to be it, don't you? You have to join it, don't you? Really?
No, you could just be yourself. You hear a lot from kids nowadays. They go, I want to be famous. What do you want to be famous for? I just want to be famous. But for us, or personally speaking, it's just really not an issue. You know, at the time of Britpop, we were invited to all these openings of whatever. We were quite happy to be in Oxford and just get on and do the music, because I think you lose yourself in it, probably.
Yeah, you have friends and then you have friends.
And what about the kind of Live Nation style merchandising they're all into? Your heroes REM are into all of that, you know, the big time merchandising. And is that not all a bit corporate, the whole U2 corporate thing and the Stones corporate thing? How does that sit with you?
Well, they come from a different generation, you know. I think with bands like U2 and stuff, they came out of the 80s. And the 80s was all about franchises, being big, being the biggest band in the world. By the time the 90s came on, we came out of that whole, you know, we weren't grunge, but that whole reaction against that. There's like a cycle. We're like the Neil Youngs. And then the next generation will be hungry for money. And it's just a cyclical thing. It just comes back and forth. And we're part of the tide that was...
In America, we have this sort of real affinity with the Deadheads.
Yeah.
I'm actually quite proud of it myself. No, the Grateful Dead followers, loonies. Affable hippies.
Yeah. Is it guys about 45 with...
No, it's their kids as well. That's the point, is the kids have taken up the whole sort of mantle and doing it as well.
Give us an idea of what you're going to be doing later for Radio 2. You're going to be wah-wahing it a lot, aren't you? You're going to be...
What's wah-wahing?
Wah-wah. We're doing about a 10-song set on the Radcliffe Maconey show, live. We've actually written the set list, which will probably change.
Yes.
Wow, that's going to be great.
Yeah.
Full details of Radiohead at the BBC can be found by logging on to www.bbc.co.uk/music events/Radiohead. Their latest single, Nude, which we're going to play as we go here, is now available in the shops. Stay with 6 Music, stay with Radio 1 and Radio 2. It's Radiohead Day on the BBC, isn't it?
Oh,
really?
no, you poor guy.
That's what it is. Tom York and Ed O'Brien, thank you very much. Thank you very much. That was excellent. Excellent. Much was revealed.